So hi again. I'm Veronica, an undergraduate student here at McGill. Is that good? So over the course of the summer, I worked on the creation of a beta version of the Canadian Environmental Humanities portal. Before I started my internship, I had absolutely zero experience or knowledge in website design and WordPress, which was the platform used to create the website. So its creation was definitely a learning experience for me, to say the least. Before I got started, I did some CSS, HTML tutorials, but to be honest with you, it was really when I launched into the creation of the site itself that I learned the most. I mean, it's one thing to have a tutorial in front of you telling you how font and how text works, and it's laid out step by step, and you're focused on that one task. But then a completely other thing when you have a sketch of a site in front of you and a blank HTML page, and you want to figure out how to put this there and move it around, make it smaller, so on and so forth. At that point, it became a question of trial and error, of reading forums to see if other people had the same issues, asking Professor Sinclair for help. So like I said, my experience with HTML website programming is really this site. Enough about me. I'll give you a walkthrough through the site so you'll get an idea of where it's at now and what's still in progress. So the home page, I was looking for a minimalistic, clean feel. In the center, I guess it's the navigation menu, with the main sections being research, analytic tools, and features. As of right now, the bulk of the site's content can be found in the research section, which I'll get back to in a second. Analytic tools and features are a bit of a question mark in terms of how they're going to be developed and what kind of content we want to have there. The blog section, for example, we could have weekly updates, guest posts, information about events that are happening. As of right now, there's one entry where I go into a bit more detail about the process of creating the site, and then links to other environmental humanities portals can be found there. In the analytic tools, you can see a map of, well, the audience, you guys, your locations and projects that you're working on. Give it a second to load. So if somebody wanted to know what's happening where and who's doing what in Canada, this is where they would go. Okay, well, it has pinpoints where your locations are in blue and then projects in pink. And if you click on it, there's a link to get more information. And then another tool here is just words. I put in different chunks of text into Wordle to see what words were used the most often and what relative frequency to one another. But what you'll see here are three different text clouds of words that came up the most often when I put in your biographies, your bibliographies, and project descriptions. So that's just if anyone's interested in that. And now the main section, research. Here is the project page, which has a mini page for each of the projects that you're working on with more information and links. This page has the potential to become very dynamic and be continuously updated with more information, pictures, videos, more links, so on and so forth. And then the next section we have is people, which is a directory of all the individuals involved in the environmental humanities in Canada. Each individual has their so-called contact card with a picture, their affiliated university, the department they work in, research interests, so on and so forth, as well as contact information and their biography, and projects that they are working on underneath that. A couple of different ways that you can filter down through the directory if you're looking for specific individuals in particular. You can search by name. You can filter by discipline. So if I want to see who's working in history, it'll show me an appropriate list. Anything that's in purple can be used as a filter as well. So let's say I want to see who's working at York University in environmental humanities. It'll give me another list of individuals. And now last but not least, the resources page. This is a Zotero collection of books, articles, videos pertaining to the environmental humanities. As of right now, there are around 500 items, but I continuously add more as I come across stuff and as more bibliographies are sent to me. But instead of us just having a 500 list of items, they are filtered by 3 different ways that will generate a bibliography more specific to what you're looking for. So first you can filter similar to the connections page by collection. So let's say I'm looking for items pertaining to history, click here, and I'll get a bibliography of environmental humanities and history. Next, each of the items I've tagged with the top 3 or 4 themes and subjects it elaborates upon. So if I'm interested in, let's say, animal rights, regardless of what discipline it has to do with, I'll get a list here. And then finally, I can filter by decade. Let's say I want to see what was written in the 90s, regardless of what topic it's about, regardless of what collection it's in, I'll get a chronological bibliography right there. So that's about it as for where the site stands right now. We look forward to hearing your feedback and any suggestions. It's very easy for me to add, modify, take away content, so especially for the contact cards. So if you want to change or update any info, just let me know and it'll be easy to do that. I'll turn the floor over to Stephanie, who'll talk more about the future of the site. Or Professor Stephanie.
So I'm going to be very brief. Thanks, Veronica. Just to reiterate what Veronica was saying, the scope of this phase of the project was just to create a skeleton of a site that would give us enough concrete sense of where we would want to go next. But one of the things we were very conscious of is that we didn't want to be yet another project that creates yet another website that has strong ambitions for content, but little to differentiate and little sort of anticipation of what was described with niche, which is that maybe the community actually doesn't necessarily want that or use it. So there's the technical attraction of some of the functionality, but we wanted to think about how it would actually be used. The niche that we sort of saw as being most relevant for what we wanted to do was around integrating directly into the portal or site or whatever a number of analytic tools. So Veronica showed sort of the results of some simpler analysis, somewhat as a placeholder, but the idea is that if you could actually combine the full text search where it was available with copyright restrictions and so on, if you could combine the resources, the textual resources that are there, bibliographic resources, with analytic tools so that you could create a corpus in real time. So in the example, I can't remember which heading was chosen, but let's imagine you could say, okay, give me all the entries that from a given decade, create that as a real-time corpus. Now let me do some text analysis work. It might be topic modeling, it might be n-gram analysis, it may be different sorts of things. We're not saying that that's going to be a type of methodology that everyone will be interested in. We sort of have a sense that that's where it would be useful for us given the overlap of interests and competencies. That'd be a good place for us to really showcase some of what would be possible with the digital resources. And so it's really, in a way, the middle section that is going to, in addition to all the feedback and content that we hope that you'll provide, why isn't such and such a text there in the Zotero library? Well, in a few months we'll be able to say, because you didn't send it to us already. But as well, starting to think and build up a constellation of micro projects that are working using geospatial or text analysis or other digital humanities methods to work on the resources that are there.